And welcome back to another episode of our Dinner Party Podcast. I'm Lindsay Jagger.
And I'm Keith Williams.
We're the podcast that covers topics you can cover later. And today we've got a special report because this is all anyone's going to be talking about at any dinner party, any function, any gathering. It's the United Healthcare CEO assassination. Are you ready?
I'm ready to dive in.
Let's go. All right, so I thought we would do this episode a little bit different because it is one topic, but genuinely, this is the topic that has captured us all for the last week.
Yes.
So I'm going to go through a short timeline of events as reported by ABC News to just kind of give us the scene, and then we'll dive in, okay?
Okay.
All right. So on November 18th, just last month, Mangione, so I guess I should actually start with, we're going to be talking about two people in particular in this case. Luigi Mangione, I hope I said that right, feels right, and CEO Brian Thompson. November 18th, 2023, Mangione's mother filed a missing persons report in San Francisco in November, seeking information about her son, according to two law enforcement sources. By November 24th, the killer entered New York City by bus when a surveillance camera on Port Authority bus terminal caught his arrival at 9 p.m. Law enforcement sources told ABC News the inbound bus originated in Atlanta, but it was not immediately clear where the suspect boarded. He likely checked into a hostel on New York City's Upper West Side that day and later checked out. By December 4th at 6:44 a.m., the masked gunman fatally shot Brian Thompson in front of the north entrance to the New York Hilton Midtown. The shooter then walks towards the victim and continues to shoot. NYPD Chief of Detective Joseph Kinney said, "It appears that the gun malfunctions as he clears the jam and begins to fire again." December 9th, the suspect in the shooting, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, was identified and taken into custody in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He was, of course, found at a McDonald's. A patron of the establishment identified the alleged assassin by his eyebrows and mask. Post-arrest, he was charged with 5 crimes in Pennsylvania, including carrying a gun without a license, forgery, falsely identifying himself to authorities, and possessing, quote, instruments of crime, unquote, according to a criminal complaint. He is currently in prison without bail.
Oh, man.
This unfolded quickly, but I think, if you watch the video, which is honestly terrifying that we have video, he was stealthy. This confused a lot of people right off the bat because we're not saying, ABC reported, I think, called him a killer, masked gunman, suspect, all different names. But people really went with assassin because of how calm, casual, collected Luigi seemed in this moment.
It definitely looked like he'd done it before.
Yeah.
It wasn't his first time.
It was clear that he's intelligent.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we have to get into a little bit of his family life. So he came from a well-off, privileged family by all respects. He went to a prestigious preparatory school in Baltimore before going to the University of Pennsylvania, obviously an Ivy League school there. He had been working as a data engineer for TrueCar, Inc. in Santa Monica, California for 4 years. And at some point in there, he moved or at least lived in Hawaii. So fairly fortunate person. Those are all very nice places to live, nice schools.
Yeah.
And I think it showed in the way he carried himself that day. He was not someone that was so, he wasn't very erratic by any measure.
No, everything definitely felt very calculated and thought out.
Would you have guessed that he was 26 when you saw this?
No.
Right? He's young. It's considering he's definitely going to jail for a long time here. 26 is so young.
It is.
What was your first take when you saw this? Who did you think assassinated the CEO of United Healthcare?
I thought it was somebody's dad whose kid died.
Fair, like a retaliatory.
Yeah.
There was so many theories. I think a lot of people understood that because that was the initial public outcry is kind of it was not sorrow. It wasn't even shock. I would say it was straight up just you kind of got what you had coming. That is honestly probably the first sentiment that I saw. I think when I read through and watched this person, I almost wondered if it was like, like a hired hitman. I don't know that I thought past like who would hire the hitman, but my immediate thought was like, oh, we've officially found like a someone that's in the public. I don't know. Hired hitmen feel so like mob movie. I know that they can be real people, but they still, in my mind, are just like movie characters. And now all of a sudden, it felt like one entered real life, and that was super surprising.
Yeah, the whole Luigi story is mesmerizing. Actually, he whenever his gun jammed, they were like, "Oh, look at the way he clears it. He's definitely like got experience with the guns and stuff."
I haven't even seen any reporting on his experience. Now, being wealthy, he probably does have access to nice things, and that includes nice guns.
Also, wasn't the gun 3D printed?
It was. And it's interesting because the Supreme Court is actually sitting on a decision of, calling ghost guns is what they are. If it's a gun that's 3D printed, it's a ghost gun, and kind of they have to put down a law that basically says it would be illegal. Yeah. Because it's becoming a problem.
I guess I wonder what he made it out of. Like, what material was the gun? Because I would just I've played with like 3D printed things before. They break so easily.
You got some 3D breakable guns out there?
No, I would just imagine like the force. It's got to be some kind of special 3D printer or something.
I guess I also don't know. I'm like metal. Like, what's a gun made out of? They're always heavy. I don't actually know like the exact makeup of a gun. But yeah, that's a great point that hasn't really been touched on. But again, that even links back. Like, this is a very interesting case to pop up with that on the Supreme Court's plate.
Which might make sense why it jammed, because it was just printed.
Like, yeah.
He's like, oh, this has happened before.
I think once he speaks out, we'll find out how much he practiced with his 3D printed gun.
Because I saw something he wrote. He said something like, it just took some CAD. Because, he's a very smart guy.
Yeah. And I think it's time we touch on the manifesto.
Okay. Yeah.
First off, every year it seems like we get a weirdo with a manifesto, and it's December and we finally got one. For this year, 2024 has not disappointed. Last year was kind of lame. It was like Michigan, that guy, like a coach from Michigan had a manifesto. Like that, like it was interesting, but it was boring because it's just football manifesto.
I don't remember that guy.
Yeah, that Connor Stallions. Well, maybe one day we can do a deep dive into that because it was weird. Okay. Like you should enjoy your football teams, but don't love them so much you make a manifesto. That's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we have one. We have no motive, or at least none has really been made public yet, per se. But we do have a manifesto. In the manifesto, he condemns the healthcare industry. He's been seen being moved by the cops yelling things like, it's an insult to the American people. And I don't know what that was directed at, but we have that general sentiment as excerpts of this manifesto kind of come out. I think it's also good to point out now kind of the health of Luigi, because that's one thing I thought too. Like, if this man is not a trained assassin, then he's not well. And I don't know that even trained assassins would be considered like mentally healthy by the sheer fact of what you're doing.
Well, yeah, because then they reported him missing.
Right.
So he just kind of went off grid.
Let's kind of get into that. So there's been speculation on an apparent surfing injury that led to, I would say, back surgery of some kind. I guess his Twitter X picture is an x-ray where you can see like some nails in his spine. He then moved to Japan after Hawaii for a short time, and potentially around then is when he lost contact with his family. I don't know that for sure. But this is when we can kind of fast forward to that day in November 18th, where his mom filed a missing persons report. So at some point, he does lose contact with his family. I don't know the full scope of the timeline then, but he's got additional notes about his illness. He honestly seems to have been like kind of chronically ill throughout his life. According to a Reddit account that was connected to him called Mr. Cactus, he referenced battles with Lyme disease and IBS in his high school and collegiate days. And later he did mention a lumbosacral joint surgery, which gives confirmation to the surfing accident potentially. He talked about a lot of pain, like different numbness and issues, just ongoing issues. And to me, it read like the surgery would have alleviated those problems. So perhaps better off now.
Yeah.
But chronic pain sort of things going on, I would say, for him.
Yeah, I think he still has it. From what I saw, when he lived in Hawaii, he lived in like a co-living space.
Okay, yeah.
And they said he ended up leaving just because his pain in his back was too much. So, like, there was no point in him staying in Hawaii because he was there to surf and hike.
Yeah.
So he couldn't do it anymore. So he left.
Interesting. Okay. So I didn't find that earlier, but that makes more sense. So even post surgery, you're saying he still had the issues.
Yeah.
I think too, because this wouldn't be rare. You've seen it in other people where it's like chronic pain drives people crazy. You either get like hooked on drugs, kind of trying to give yourself some relief. Yeah. I think a fair few learn to kind of, work their way out of pain or learn to deal with it or, whatever happens. But there are like a small percentage of people that kind of like almost go mad. Like I think it just like is overwhelming.
I feel like he had to have had some claims denied. Everybody on the internet saying, oh, well, his family's, well off, so he can afford it. But
Unless
at the same
disconnected
time,
from his family.
That's true. But like at the same time, it doesn't matter if you can afford it. Like if you have to have these medical procedures done, I don't know. Maybe I disagree with some people, but I feel like if you have insurance, they should cover it. That's what you pay for.
Yeah.
I mean, if the doctor says you need it, you probably need it, right?
You would think. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll get into that and talk a little bit about our dearly departed Brian Thompson.
All right. We got sparkling ice today.
Here we go. All right. Bring in some Christmassy flavors.
Yeah. Sparkling ice has Christmas or wintertime flavors, I would call them. Maybe winter.
Holiday flavors?
Holiday flavors.
I like it.
Today we have ginger lime.
Love.
I'll let you...
I'll crack this one open.
Do that one. And
all
then,
right.
For funsies, because I still had one, tropical punch.
The iconic flavor, honestly. Yeah. I really like their tropical punch flavors. We've had it in a few of their sodas now.
I can smell that from here.
It's very ginger, but I love ginger lime.
Yeah.
It's like a mule. I think you would make a mule with this, right?
Oh, for sure. It's like half your cocktail right there.
Absolutely. Spot on. This, honestly, yes, I want this to be a mule. Yeah. So for all your holiday parties, sparkling ice, ginger lime, 0 sugar, just grab a handle and you've got instant cocktails.
Yeah, they have like 12 packs of the different holiday flavors. I know there's an apple cider one, which I really enjoy.
Oh, I love that.
It's very good. There's like a cranberry frost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 4th flavor that I'm blanking on right now, but...
Mystery flavor. Go buy it. Find out now.
10
out of 10. They kill it. I like a drink that can go, people don't have to feel forced to drink like alcohol. You can give them a mocktail, give them a real cocktail. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
easy peasy.
It's good.
Thanks again to Sparkling Ice for sponsoring this podcast.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get back into it. Ready? So Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Health, let's get a little bit of his background. Honestly, it took me a while to learn more about who he was. Like, everyone was maybe rightfully kind of obsessed with the stealth moves that Luigi had going on that seemed like he got glazed over a little bit, at the start, I would say.
Yeah.
So originally from Ames, Iowa, he was one of 2 sons born to mother and father. Father was a grain elevator worker. He was valedictorian of his high school class and went on to the University of Iowa. Graduated with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a major in accounting. He again graduated as valedictorian from his class at the University of Iowa as well. So kind of impressive. He met his wife, Paulette, there. They have 2 children, and he was also a supporter of the Special Olympics. Thomas's legacy as a CEO will be one of, I would say, both success and some side eye. It's a little murky. He watched over the company, so he joined in 2021, and he was there for a pretty major shift in the rate of denied claims. So the company reported 9% denied claims in 2019. By this year, the company reported 32%. So that's a huge jump. These denial claims aided United Healthcare from turning a $12 billion annual profit to a $6 billion annual profit as of this year. In addition, United Healthcare unveiled a plan denying coverage to what they deemed unnecessary ER visits. This kind of gets back to what you were talking about, where, and doctors take oaths, right? They have Hippocratic oath for a reason. So basically, it's like you show up to the ER, a doctor serves you. They don't ask you, if you want the life-saving drug. They just give it to you. They save your life. You get the bill after, and that's when United Healthcare could step in and say, well, that wasn't actually necessary. Like maybe, it wasn't a life-saving drug. It was just super expensive painkiller or whatever. So they won't pay, and then you would. And it was openly criticized by the American Hospital Association, which then moved United Healthcare to delay the action. I currently don't know if this is in practice, because I just said it delayed it. Basically, I didn't say it canceled it. He was also under investigation by the United States Department of Justice for insider trading. It was alleged that he, alongside another executive, sold over $120 million worth of United Healthcare stock just 4 months before the news of an antitrust probe by the DOJ went public. So a few sketchy things there on Brian Thompson's side. So as you kind of mentioned, if Luigi was maybe going through some things, with his health, denied claims. I mean, who knows? We don't know enough about his health, but it certainly seems possible as somebody it looks like chronic pain and has had a major surgery.
Yeah.
I would also, you need your back to move. Your back supports your
back
whole body.
Back surgeries are not fun. Anybody knows ever had back surgery, they're always in pain.
I actually had the opportunity, and I would even say honor, because this man is so smart, to work with one of America's best spinal surgeons. And having a bad spinal surgery, because you consider it when it's damaged as diseased spine, big deal, because your mobility can be, none.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's really important you have a good spine surgeon, because if you end up getting something fused, you cannot unfuse it. You can't go to another doctor that's like, oh, you actually didn't need to do that. It's too late. We've fused it. A piece of mobility is forever gone. Wow. It's pretty serious. So I don't know what Luigi was facing, but potentially we're looking at a surgery that could have changed his life, just in the sense that you don't move the same. That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I would guess too, if he was a super active person, that could lead to depression. Certainly mental health issues, I think, would come with that, with a lifestyle change that perhaps makes you less mobile.
Yeah.
And along with the addition of potentially chronic pain and the way he reported on Reddit, I don't know, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I actually did see a stat. The average denial rate by insurance companies.
Right.
So the industry average is 16% of claims are denied. And as you said, United Healthcare is at 32%.
Nearly double, or exactly double.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I have to assume that must make them just a crap ton of money, because I have no idea what the average American does as far as going to an ER visit. But if you think about it, you have, maybe you can't find a doctor that's, in your network. That's always a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
I know, just me personally, I was never someone that went to a doctor a lot when I got sick. But after COVID, I think a lot of people don't risk it. If they start to feel really bad, they're hopping into a Minute Clinic, an ER, something to get a test or receive treatment, because it's why risk it if you're feeling really ill? I think people are more aware or taking their health more seriously. So there probably are a few more ER visits these days naturally.
I mean, I'll tell you, I never go to the doctor mainly because it's too expensive.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people, and it's really sad to be in a situation where you kind of have to, I don't know, question your own health, self diagnose. That's always really dangerous. That's where you get, everybody does it. You log on to Google and you're on WebMD, and it's like, you're either totally fine or you for sure have like a life ending disease.
Yeah.
It's always cancer or just like your mind. Like, it's basically like gas or cancer 9 times out of 10.
I mean, my wife had a surgery and it didn't help at all. And that was thousands of dollars out the door. It was
Right.
kind of just worthless.
That's really rough for most people to recoup also.
Yeah.
You just don't make that money back as quick.
No.
I think that's also why we've seen the rise in white glove healthcare, where you just pay the doctor out of pocket. It's often cheaper than paying, not, I suppose I should be careful with the word cheaper, but I think it can be well worth it to just pay, if you can, a lump sum up front instead of paying so much a month that you may or may not use, that may or may not cover the person you need to go see or would rather go see. Because I think there's also often a space between the doctor you would like to have and the doctor in your network. It always seems like there's, those things aren't always on board.
Or, if you switch jobs, the new job has a different insurance plan and then your doctor's not on the network anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You always have a copay no matter what now. I can remember growing up where we didn't have like insurance actually covered things. I feel like it's genuinely gotten worse as we've gotten older.
Oh yeah. And speaking of the out of network thing, all the memes you see were like, oh, I offer Brian Thompson his family condolences, but they're out of my network.
We have to get to the memes also.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's walk through just a few things. I think, let's start with the narcs.
Okay.
I think it's an important topic before we get straight into the memes, because public sentiment was kind of wild with this one. I don't know that we've ever seen America react this way to a shooting. But right off the bat, we go to the Altoona McDonald's, and the police department there. So local police and that specific McDonald's have been receiving death threats. A majority of people are not pro-murder, but they are pro-Luigi. He has certainly become a hero. He's a bit of a Robin Hood. Maybe he's not, he's wealthy himself, stealing from the wealthy. It's not really quite that situation, but he's certainly seen as kind of, I don't know, like revolting. Right? Like he's on that. In addition, kind of a famous, I would say quite popular, I think it's making the rounds, but a famous quote from the former Washington Post and New York Times reporter Taylor Lorenz. She was on Piers Morgan, and she said, much like so many other Americans, she felt joy upon hearing the news of Thompson's death. I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately. Adding later, maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. And I think that actually might be the best quote to explain what people felt. I think there was a genuine, I don't know how many clients, customers United Healthcare serves.
I think they're one of the largest.
They are. They definitely are. But I would say that, I don't know that this is my opinion, but this certainly could put a bow on what the public perception of the public sentiment is perhaps not joy, but not empathy, because it seems like every United Healthcare person, just anyone with insurance, I think has felt this pain where you're like, why is this not covered? I know coming back, I think I was on an antidepressant, I'd been going through a divorce, and first thing, it's like, you try to get healthcare. Healthcare doesn't kick in for 3 months, and I've got to go pick up a prescription, and I can't afford it. And you just like, I remember kind of having a meltdown right at the pharmacy because I was like, of course this hasn't kicked in. Of course I can't afford that. And luckily a parent came back with me. Like, I hate to say this, but I was 30 years old, and a parent came in and paid for my medicine. But it's like, it was so defeating because you're like, I can't take care of myself, and I need this thing. And perhaps, I mean, I would argue that I could certainly have survived without that medicine, but there are people out there with other medicines that they certainly couldn't survive. Someone with way more serious disease than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what do you do when you lapse?
Medicines, that's a whole other thing being overpriced on.
We see that a lot.
Yeah, it's out of hand. I mean, I don't know if anything comes out of this, maybe some regulation or, something, a better insurance, because this doesn't work.
Right.
The current system does not work.
Wasn't there even an issue with, I mean, more recently, like diabetic drugs were looked into?
Yeah.
I think government stepped in and did lower the price on some of those because it was getting outrageous.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, basically the government can be like, all right, it doesn't matter that you have a patent.
Yeah.
But you have to do this because too many people need it.
Yeah, the greater good.
Yeah.
And it outweighs it. Now we have Ozempic, so maybe that doesn't matter at all now. I have no idea.
I don't know. I hear there's shortages on all that all the time too, but
all the time. Yeah. Especially on like Adderall. I constantly see that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not on Adderall. I just see that it's constantly short. So
interesting.
Rough. The other thing, like, again, so public sentiment right now is all about the narcs. People genuinely see, I mean, technically it is like a public servant sort of mentality to be like, I saw, like, see something, say something. Like, that's essentially what these people did. I don't think they did anything wrong by turning him in. But most of America not super happy. I would say there are two lanes of how we've approached Luigi. Number one, this is wildly hilarious. People did receive joy from this.
I think part of it is his name is Luigi.
I mean, if there is just like one other guy, and the hair too, he's like really spot on looking like a Luigi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, we just need like a Mario. We just need one reason to tie it. You know what I want? I need his lawyer to be Mario. I need them to find a lawyer named Mario. I want the Mario and Luigi thing to happen.
I'm not going to rule it out. Of all the things that have happened so far, I'm not ruling out a Mario lawyer.
Because why wouldn't the most stealth public assassin be named Luigi? Why not?
Yeah. And,
he genuinely, like, there's no way, if he never went as Luigi for Halloween, this guy is not that funny. And that would be a sad day. Like, we're going to find out who he is eventually, right? Like, he's going to get a trial.
He just put on his normal
I'm going to be super bummed if he's not the slightest bit funny.
Yeah.
I need him to bring some comedic.
Well, also, you know
what, though? He's crazy.
The Officer Fry, arrested him at McDonald's.
Stop that. I didn't know that was the officer's name.
Officer Fry. Arrested
Grimace
Luigi
there too. What's the Hamburglar? Were they like caught between, like, did the Hamburglar get away this time because Luigi was there and they had their hands full?
He was the other
He needed
person.
to be at a Fazoli's, not a McDonald's. Let's just call it what it is.
You know what? Those breadsticks are pretty killer.
Dang, they are so good.
I haven't had them for a long time.
Me either. I haven't been to Fazoli's in forever. I used to love Fazoli's as a child.
You pulled that one out.
Yeah, I did.
Man, I haven't heard of Fazoli's.
Well, like, what other fast food Italian restaurant is? Olive Garden.
That's why.
Olive Garden, right?
Yeah,
but that's
Olive
like
Garden.
a lot. That's not fast food. Like, Fazoli's is fast food Italian.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever did have one, Fazoli's.
People were saying, he's at McDonald's because the McRib's back. Limited time.
Can we talk about CEOs in general for a second? McDonald's, I think like the same day that Brian Thompson was murdered, the McDonald's CEO came out and was like, we listened to America. We're bringing back the snack wrap.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they turned in America's favorite fugitive. And I just want to know where like McDonald's fans stand right now. Are you still going to go get the snack wrap or are you going to boycott?
I think they like tried to apologize by giving everybody like a 50-cent double cheeseburger. That was in my McDonald's app.
Wait, really?
Yeah, here's a 50-cent McDonald's cheeseburger.
I mean, maybe. I could actually see that being real. As, like, we're making the jokes, and I honestly do have, like, a bit of confusion. I'm not okay the fact that you should, like, I do not think people should go out on their own and just shoot someone.
Yeah.
That opens a level of chaos that we don't need. And because, like, who are you to say, I mean, Brian Thompson has some certainly sketch things going on. I didn't know him. I'm not going to deem him good or bad. I think most people are a mix of both. I don't think anybody, or I've met some really good people in my life. I guess I'll say there are some pretty good people. I've met people who feel more bad than good. Most people probably closer to the 50-50 mark. So I'm not going to like be the voice of condemnation towards Brian Thompson here. I don't love that he was murdered. I don't want it to be funny, but at the same time, it is, the memes are
I think
immaculate.
if it wasn't Luigi,
Like if it was like
anybody else.
Steven
Steven
from Baltimore
and he-
killed Brian Thompson,
and he like,
we'd be
you
like,
know,
oh.
didn't look like Luigi. I
Because
think
he
it would
does
be.
look like Luigi, like a lot. That hair is on point.
I think if it was anybody else, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Maybe. I don't know. It was pretty big up until they had the pictures of him.
You know, I also want to say, so, because the second public sentiment was he's hot. That, like, everybody had a crush on this man. There's a picture of him. It's, like, clearly from, like, CTV footage. And all you see is, like, I don't think you can even see really his eyes. He's got his hood on, and he's got a smile, and it's, like, a good angle. This is, for the girls that listen, this photo is when you're, like, crushing on someone, and you're like, let me find a good photo of him. That's his good photo. Like, this man is not that good looking. I just need to put that out there. He's not actually that good looking.
I think I read that, like, the girl that worked in the desk at the hostel was like, all right, you have to smile. And so that's why he smiled.
I mean, he's allowed to smile. I'm not mad that he smiled. I just think that was a really good photo of him. Like, we found the cute photo that he would use on his profile, and he just got lucky. Because I don't think he's that good looking.
Okay.
I just got to throw that out there. Because that was, like, such also, like, a hot take. Everybody was like, oh, wait. Like, Assassin Bay.
Yeah. He had, like, I don't know. He was an interesting dude. Because I think somebody posted, like, his LinkedIn profile. I just tried to look it up.
He's got that Ivy Tech level.
I think
LinkedIn.
they took it down. I couldn't find him anymore on LinkedIn.
You allowed to do that?
I don't know.
Allowed to just remove public maybe his parents did or something.
Yeah, I couldn't find his profile.
I don't know.
But it said something like, you know, for his resume, he used to work on some video game. He's like, yeah, I fixed 30 bugs.
Yeah, it was actually a part of I don't know if it was a club or a company, but while he was at Penn.
Oh, it was at Penn.
And it's just, that proves that Ivy League schools are way cooler than other schools.
Yeah, I don't remember what game it was, but.
Yeah. No, he's super intelligent. To me also, though, as you watch him, he's clearly angry, as one would be, I suppose, when arrested. And obviously angry in general, because that's what led to him shooting Brian Thompson. He's not well. He's clearly not well. He's angry. He's got, you know, he has these outbursts when you see him being removed from different cop cars.
What do we think about the photos they released of him in the mask, but you could only see his eyebrows, and one had like the unibrow and the other one didn't? Have you seen that?
Are you claiming that someone photoshopped his?
No. That's like those are the.
You're
the
thinking
pictures.
He did his eyebrows in between?
Well, that's what people are saying. They're like, how could this be the same guy? This guy has a unibrow and the other guy doesn't. But these are the pictures that the police released.
Is he burrowing? Like, you can bring your eyebrows together.
I don't know. So, like, people are like, you know.
Is it different angles? Like, I could see, like, an angle that could bring that together.
But it's really easy to find the two together. And people are, like, circling the eyebrows. They're not
Are
the
you
same.
suggesting there's a Mario up there somewhere that's
Well,
just, like, scot-free right now?
the other
Because that
thing-
feels very on point for a Mario Luigi thing.
Well, see, here's the
One
thing.
of them always gets away, right?
He has a brother.
Does have.
And people are like, it could be the brother. Because also, if you look at the pictures, the noses are different.
So his brother was with him.
Maybe.
Is maybe what we think.
Because he says in his little manifesto that he acted alone. Maybe he's trying to cover for his brother. Because they're definitely two different eyebrows and two different noses, I think.
Interesting.
And people are like, if the eyebrows are split, you must acquit.
Eyebrows are split. You know, rhyming worked for OJ. I'm not going to rule out it working again.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, if
What if
that's
that
where
was
we
the
are, that's
actual,
where
like,
we are.
If that was like one of their actual things. Oh, did you see also they're like, oh, we found, $8,000 in cash on him.
Interesting.
He said, like, in his arraignment thing, he's like, I don't know where that money came from.
I did see that. I don't think I trust Luigi, though. I appreciate that everyone's on board with him being set up a little bit. I don't trust him. I don't think he's well. He's clearly very intelligent. I give him all the credit in the world. I'm looking at someone who snapped. I think he's got, again, this is probably more my theory. I feel like my theory is based on facts, though. I think he's got some chronic pain. I think it led to like a downward spiral. Seems super intelligent again. That also is, unfortunately happens to individuals with high IQs. I just don't think so on that one. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting.
This also went 0 to 60 so fast. Literally, people are like, we don't feel bad was the first thing. I don't think anybody ever was like, oh no, someone was shot at 7 a.m. Everybody was like stepping over bodies and like, ugh, I hate commuting. And then saw like whoever made the first meme, everybody started laughing. Step 2 was actually, did you see the photo? He's hot. Step 3 is conspiracy theories. Yeah. Like we have already run the gambit. Like this is a modern story if there ever was one.
It's definitely, it felt different from the beginning.
Which, if you're a CEO, obviously a lot of healthcare CEOs, companies have come out and said like they are upping the security, private security, I think specifically for those CEOs. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt. Do you think we'll see a copycat crime? Because so often you do. That's also really dangerous.
Yeah.
And I don't know, again, I think if we saw a second one, even an attempt, I don't think anybody feels bad. If I'm looking at this reaction, it's more like I just wonder if we want to see protests linked to probably his trial, if we see a copycat crime. I just think there's going to be more here, and it's going to get really big. And it's definitely, again, ghost guns already with the Supreme Court. I think this is going to trigger a lot. Probably shouldn't use the word trigger. Whatever. Probably going to lead to a lot of decisions in various areas, not just healthcare. A lot of conversation to take place.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I didn't know you could 3D print guns. I didn't know that.
It's literally a problem.
Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah.
They work.
They work. Too bad you can't 3D print pills or like whatever you need to go around healthcare.
Yeah, or a car.
You can 3D print a car.
Can you?
Yeah. You'd have to do all the pieces and bobs.
I know you can 3D print houses. I've seen the house, but they just use like cement.
There are actually like racing groups, teams, whatever. Yeah. Like I guess the company itself that have 3D printers that print pieces of cars. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. You can do that. You can make your own Keith mobile.
Oh.
Yeah.
What would that be like?
Well, I don't know. I feel like it might backfire a few more times than you'd want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not good at the engine stuff.
If the gun will jam, the car will backfire. I think that's maybe the moral of that story.
Yeah. Shouldn't try it.
I'm just very interested. What do you think in general next steps are? Like, what do you think we find out next? What happens?
I think it's far from over. I think they find out.
He has lawyered up. He has a lawyer.
Yeah. So. They should be able to afford a good one. So.
Which actually makes this all the more interesting. We're not getting a public defender. We are getting, this is kind of, you made the O.J. Simpson joke. This is kind of like that. Yeah. O.J. Simpson had a lot of money.
And a lot of people also have a problem with like the way they're like, oh, the police can do all this stuff and spend all this money when a CEO dies, but anybody else, they're just like,
We do have a lot of unsolved murders out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, though, how many people are getting murdered in broad daylight. It wasn't even daylight, I guess, because it was like so early.
And what about the backpack full of Monopoly money?
Pause, back up. I'm going to use this time to also make an argument for we shouldn't have daylight savings time. Should have been bright out then, right? Or is that daylight savings?
I don't like it.
I don't know.
I think it's our way too
early.
We
didn't need it. To the backpack of Monopoly money, don't understand it.
I
big
gamer, know.
Big game guy.
Yeah.
Worked on games. Likes board games. Don't know. Can't
Like,
explain that.
To be able to do that and then escape New York.
How many coats did he have on? Did you notice,
Exactly.
like, every photo, different coat? That's where I'm like, I say he's snapped. I think something is wrong there.
And then
But he's clearly he thought this out.
unless
he thought it out.
so those two pictures they
There's-
released of him.
That's actually going to be a problem when he goes to court. Like you can prove that he thought this out.
Yeah.
Highly
But
meditated.
those two pictures they released of him, two different jackets. And the backpack is different. So are these pictures from the same day or different days? Or is there a second person?
I'm
Or did
also
he change?
like really, he shed a coat, basically. I don't know how he did the backpack. Like, I guess you could you double
Maybe.
bagged your backpack.
But why?
The
And
city
then
bike
why-
situation was interesting. Some people run away after they shoot at someone or they drive away. They've got a, getaway car. They're doing
Yeah.
the whole thing. This man hopped back on a responsible bike and pedaled away casually. Not even really like aggressively, just like
And it's crazy, like that happened.
it's
And
just the mix of so casual, so happy, just, doing his thing. It was like if he had gone to the grocery store, picked up some stuff, shot this guy, went and dropped off like a package at a friend's house and like carried on, I would buy that. I would 100% buy that was Luigi's day. Like if he was like, oh, just like one casual thing in here, like, because the precision mixed with it just felt normal. Like watching him felt like he was doing something completely normal to him, not foreign in the bit.
Yeah. Just well, we're gonna have to wait and see what comes. Hopefully this trial starts soon and we can learn some more.
Publish the manifesto. I want it. I want it all. All right. Well, that's what we've got on the special report of the United Healthcare CEO assassination. We'll see what happens with Luigi, see if we find a Mario. And I think, in fairness, condolences to the Thompson family.
Yep.
All right. That is another episode of our Dinner Party podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.